So this is my first official YouTube and I decided go big. I'm going to talk about the most traumatic, stressful thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Well, let's say top 3. I think that this was the reason that I wanted to start a YouTube channel, because when I was going through this specific thing, you know, when you just look for comfort in other people who have gone through similar situations, and I tried to find like people who have been through the same thing as me, but I couldn't find anybody. So I was like, well, I am going to be the person who makes the video and who is the medical mystery, but just puts it all out there. So back in 2018, I went for an elective breast reduction surgery. So standard, you know, take some of my titties out because there's too much and I don't need all of it. Found a surgeon, found the hospital, sourced the funds, and I was ready. Went for the surgery, woke up, was over the moon. I was still groggy, I still had the drains in, but I could feel from the moment I opened my eyes from surgery, like, what a difference this was. They took, I would say, like about 1.2 kilograms, which I think is about 2.3 pounds out of my left side, and 1.5, which is about 3.3 pounds out of my right side. So that's quite a big amount, you know, to think I was carrying around almost like 3 kilograms of extra fat, you know, every single day. And then the shit hit the fan. No, I'm kidding. And then things got difficult. I'm gonna say this, but I'm not gonna also be like, put all the gross information, because I feel like it was gross. Like, if you had seen pictures, you would be gross. About 10 days post-surgery, like, where my incisions were, like, disintegrating. I don't really know if there is a medical terminology or what the medical terminology is, but basically my skin was disintegrating, or as far as what I could see, my skin was disintegrating. Where the incisions would meet, like that, like, which is always a weak point in surgery, where 2 incisions meet. So what would happen is I would get something that looks like a blister. It will be like that for maybe 1 or 2 days, and then it would pop, and then all this fluid would come out, like, and then I would have just a massive empty pocket under my skin where that blister used to be. And it was just crazy. It was just like never ending, you know. For the first 3 months after my surgery, I used to see the surgeon every week, literally every week. Even weeks when things look good, like, he was so afraid that something would happen that I would literally see him every week. I got stitched under local anesthetic in the doctor's office at least 6 times, restitched, because my incisions, you know, it just kept opening up and opening up and opening up. I had, I don't even know how many rounds of antibiotics I had, you know. So much so that at one point my doctor actually proposed. He was like, I think you should just come in and we should hook you to an IV so that we can give you like a higher dose of the antibiotics. He was like, whatever this infection is the regular over-the-counter antibiotics are not working. That was just like a whole lot of back and forth. And I was so frustrated because, like, at 3 months post my surgery, like, I should be excited. I should be enjoying my new titties. I should be, you know, living my best life. I had this expectation of where I should be at this point, and obviously I'm not there. I don't think there was just one thing that helped solve the problem. I think a combination of absolutely everything that I was doing, you know. About 4 months post-op, you know, we started seeing that things were closing and everything started looking better. But while this was all going on, I have this condition inside that was called fat necrosis. So basically, the remaining fat that was left inside my breast after the reduction surgery, it was literally dying. So basically, at 5 or 6 months post-op, I went from having the most to having nothing. I had nothing. My chest was pretty much flat, like the skin was just sagging because there was nothing inside there. It was terrible. a complication of the surgery that I got and having the fat necrosis was also that my left nipple completely vanished. Poof, just gone. Bye bye to the nipple. So with the result, I have up to this good day no left nipple. My doctor and I sat down and we discussed like what will be the next steps forward, or what will be the ideal plan for me. And he suggested if I wanted to, when I was ready, to do a breast reconstruction surgery. So obviously different doctors will recommend different types of breast reconstruction surgeries. I myself personally decided to go with a fat grafting surgery. So basically they harvest fat from one part of your body and then they inject it into another part of your body. That's a simplified version of what they do, but there's obviously a lot more, intricacies. And at the time, my doctor also suggested, he was like, we can take some skin from your thigh and we can graft it, actually make a non-functioning nipple, for you. And obviously I thought about it, it doesn't really make sense to me. It might make sense to other people, but to me it doesn't make sense. It's a superficial thing, like it's not usable. Who am I putting it there for? It's not like you're running around everywhere with just showing your nipples to everybody. So who is gonna see it? Know that it's not a real nipple. So like, who am I doing the grafting for? At the end of the day, this is my new body. This is how it looks now, and you have to just accept it for the way that it is. I decided against getting the nipple graft, so we just did the fat grafting surgery. Everything was planned, booked, and I was ready. And my surgeon discussed about how when they do fat grafting surgeries, they usually put a bit more inside, because sometimes a bit of the fat dies because you're obviously transferring it from one place to another place. So they usually make it more, but obviously he assured me that I wouldn't get back to the size that I originally was. So we agreed that I would take fat out of my side areas, like basically my love handles, because obviously that's where I had the most fat. Morning of the surgery, got in, was super nervous, I must be honest, because I had already been for this kind of surgery before, and I was scared, like, what if more stuff went wrong? The process of harvesting the fat is pretty much liposuction. If you've seen anything about liposuction, you know that it's so painful because of how they harvest the fat. So I woke up, doctor checked me, everything was good. I stayed overnight in the hospital. A few weeks went by, everything was healing the way that we wanted to. I had a few flare-ups of the infection, but this time it was probably only twice. Not as bad as obviously the first surgery. And then everything was healing, the incisions were closing. However, I had this patch of skin on my left side of my body that just was so discolored. So after liposuction, you usually bruise because of the way that they take the fat out. So it's a very traumatic process on your body. So of course I thought that, I was bruised. When I woke up, I had a lot of bruises all over my body. So I thought that this was a bruise. But as weeks went by, it just was not a bruise. Did some research, I realized that I had got what they called a liposuction burn. So when they are harvesting the fat, they heated up the utensil that they're using. And it is known to happen that people actually get burns from the utensils that they use. So basically 2 plastic surgeries, and I came out with more scars than I went in. Up until this day, I still have the scar on the side of my body, on my left side of my body. So it was quite a journey. I would say that I had more complications than most people, but the question I get asked pretty much all the time is, would you do it again? Do you regret the decision that you make? And honestly, I can tell you wholeheartedly, I don't regret it. I pray that nobody else has the kind of complications that I did, or had to go through as many doctor's appointments or visits, stitching, all of that kind of stuff that I did. But 100%, if you had to ask me to do it all over again, I would. I am much happier with my body the way that it looks now. I'm more comfortable, I'm more confident, even though I have more scars. I'm just because I feel more comfortable than what it was before. I went from being borderline a triple D to now a C. Obviously, my back loves me more. I can do more athletic kind of things, even though I don't like doing athletic kind of things, but I can do more of that. Unfortunately, for my journey, that was just things that I had to experience. At the time, it was mentally exhausting. You always second guess yourself. You always think like, did I make the right choice? Was this a good decision? Did I choose the right doctor? Is it the doctor's fault? Is it my fault? Like, whose fault is it? But at the end of the day, there's nobody to blame. This is medical. Most part, people go in, they get things done, they come out and they're perfectly fine. But some of us are unicorns, and life will not let us just do things like normal people. We have to be extra in some way or the other. And this is who I am. I hope you enjoyed my story. I'm happy to post a video on my actual surgery. I'm happy to share my whole experience from start to finish with both my surgery. If you like the story, if you do, please hit the like button. And if you want to hear more about the life of Natasha and all that goes on in this little world of mine, then please subscribe.